There's a certain kind of silence that creeps into a soul not through sin, but through softness. You know this silence. It lives in the spaces where once there was fire, now just flicker. In your prayers, once vibrant, now vague. In your faith, once thirsty, now satisfied with just enough. Some souls don't fall into darkness. They dim. The Church teaches that grace is not only for the dying moment, but for the daily one. And yet many Catholics, good, honest, well-meaning, live as if faith is a decoration, not a decision. They don't walk away from God. They just stop walking. It begins subtly. Mass becomes optional. Confession fades. The rosary collects dust. The crucifix on the wall still hangs, but the cross in the heart lies untouched. You don't leave the church, you simply sit down and get comfortable. And slowly, like a boat unmoored, your soul begins to drift. Pope Leo XIV has warned that this is one of the most dangerous conditions of the modern believer. Not rebellion, but relaxation. Not apostasy, but apathy. The enemy doesn't need to make you hate God. He only needs to make you forget to care. Some saints say lukewarmness is the devil's lullaby. It doesn't shake your world. It rocks you gently to sleep. Can you feel it now? That holy discomfort rising in your heart? It's not condemnation. It's awakening. The early church didn't spread through well-decorated homes and polite prayers. It spread through the fire of believers who lived as if Christ were returning tonight. The Catechism speaks of faith as a response. But response implies motion, energy, life. If your faith no longer moves you, it's not dead, but it's not alive either. Your heart is a lamp, not a couch. And the gospel is not meant to be background music. It's the alarm clock of grace. Let your soul ask the question it's been trying to whisper for years. When did I get so spiritually tired? Now lean closer, dear heart, because God has noticed. He has not forgotten the flame you once carried, and He is ready to breathe on it again. But you must rise from your comfort. You must begin again. He's not angry. He's waiting. What happens when the holy becomes habitual? When the Eucharist is received without awe? When prayer is said but not felt? It is believed that the greatest tragedy in the spiritual life is not that God hides, but that we stop looking. And in many churches today, the most common sin isn't rebellion. It's routine. You wake up, cross yourself, maybe whisper a Hail Mary. You attend Mass, but your thoughts drift to lunch, to traffic, to bills. You kneel, but not in surrender. You rise, but not in transformation. And you call this faith. The Holy Father, Pope Leo XIV, has spoken with pastoral sorrow on this point. He says, when the altar becomes a habit, it loses its fire, and the soul, though near to heaven, begins to sleep. But why do we let this happen? Because routine is safer than relationship. Habits cost less than holiness. It is easier to say a prayer than to truly open your heart. It is easier to wear a crucifix than to carry one. Some saints testify that the most dangerous prayer is the one you don't mean. It forms your lips, but not your life. It becomes sound without surrender. Even in your own home, the signs of this routine echo. A rosary on the shelf, unused. A Bible with unturned pages. Holy water forgotten. These are not magical things, but they are sacred reminders. And when ignored, they become silent witnesses to a faith that once lived loudly. Have you noticed the drift? That your prayers are shorter now? That your conscience is quieter? That confession feels unnecessary? This is not a judgment. It's a call. Return. The Church teaches that every spiritual life needs rekindling. Saints were not born saints. They too had seasons of dryness. But they did not stay there. They did not build homes in the desert of routine. You too can rise. Even now, even today, Christ is not tired of waiting. He's still at the table, still breaking the bread, still saying your name in silence. And that silence is not empty. It is sacred. God has not forgotten you. Your altar can burn again, but you must light the match. You must feel the weight of routine and gently lay it down. This is not magic. This is faith in motion. And even the smallest step can awaken the soul. Whisper it now if you can. Jesus, make me feel you again. He will. because even the coldest heart can catch fire again. There's a crucifix in your home, isn't there? Perhaps near the door or above your bed. You may pass it every day without noticing, but once it moved you. Once it pierced you. Now it blends into the wall. This, beloved, is one of the quietest tragedies of the spiritual life. When sacred things become scenery, when the cross becomes part of the furniture, no longer a cry of love, but a piece of decoration. The Church teaches that sacramentals, like the crucifix, holy water, or the rosary, are not magical tools, but invitations. They are doors, not decorations. Yet many Catholics forget this. They hang a crucifix but do not pause before it. They carry a rosary but do not pray it. They wear a medal but do not live its meaning. And the enemy? He rejoices not when you throw them away, but when you ignore them, because a forgotten faith is a faith that loses its voice. Pope Leo XIV spoke of this with gentle warning. The devil does not fear the rosary on your nightstand. He fears the rosary in your hand. The cross on your wall is not your defense. The cross in your heart is. And yet we see this drift. Rosaries that have never touched lips. Holy water that dries out untouched. Sacred images fading behind dust and daily life. This is not to condemn you. This is to awaken you. Remember what it once felt like to gaze upon the cross and weep, to hold the beads and feel heaven draw near, to anoint your home, not out of fear, but out of faith. That hunger is still in you. That flame is not dead, just buried. You must reclaim the sacred. You must let your home become a chapel again. Not through grand gestures, but through simple acts. A whispered Ave Maria before sleep. A sign of the cross made slowly. A kiss upon the crucifix before leaving the house. These are not relics of an older time. They are the breath of a living faith. And if you begin again, even today, heaven will notice. Angels will draw close. The dust will become gold. Because when you honor the cross, you honor the one who hung upon it. Let it not be a symbol. Let it be a statement. Let it say, "This house belongs to Christ." And let your soul echo it. You tell yourself you're a good Catholic. You go to Mass most Sundays. You believe in God. You try to be kind. Isn't that enough? The saints say no. Not because God demands perfection, but because the soul was made for transformation. And good enough is the quiet assassin of holiness. Pope Leo XIV once said, "Comfort is not the measure of the gospel. The cross is. That means your faith must stretch you, shape you, sometimes even strip you. The Church never called you to be safe. She called you to be sanctified. And yet today many believers settle. They know the rules. They perform the motions, but they resist the fire. They stay on the shoreline while Jesus walks the waves. They admire the saints but fear their path. They are content to be near the altar, but never offer themselves on it. And in doing so, they miss the miracle. The Catechism reminds us that holiness is not for the few, but for all. That includes you, not just priests or mystics, not just saints in stained glass. You with your flaws, you with your fears, you with your unfinished prayers. But here is the danger. When you say, "I'm doing okay," you stop growing, and the soul that stops growing begins shrinking. This is not to shame you. It is to stir you. You were not made to survive your faith. You were made to radiate it. Do not let good enough become the ceiling of your spiritual life. Let it be the floor, the place where you begin again. Examine your habits. Where have you settled? What part of your faith have you placed in storage? Find it. Dust it off. Hold it in your hands again. Christ is not asking for perfect. He's asking for pursuit. A real faith does not say, "I have done enough." It says, "Lord, take more of me." So speak it now if you dare. Take more of me, Lord. He will. And you will become more than you ever thought possible. You see them every Sunday. Eyes lowered, knees bent, hands folded. They rise at the right words. They sit, stand, kneel, respond. But look deeper. Do their eyes shine? Does their soul burn? Many are present in body, but absent in flame. Pope Leo XIV once spoke with quiet sorrow. The pews are full of silence, but not the sacred kind. This is the silence of the sleeping soul, a soul that no longer expects transformation, that attends without hunger, that hears the gospel as routine, not revelation. This is what the saints called the ache of the almost awake, almost alive, almost holy, but never burning. And yet these souls do not rebel. They do not walk away. They sit faithfully, like statues of who they once were. And this, beloved, is more tragic than defiance, because at least the rebel knows they are far. The lukewarm soul thinks they've arrived. The Catechism warns us, faith is not static. It is a living response. It must grow or it fades. And in today's world, where comfort has become a creed, this truth is often buried. Are you one of them? Ask your soul, not your schedule. When was the last time the gospel moved you? When was the last confession that broke you? The last mass that felt like heaven cracked open? If you can't remember, you may be asleep. But here is the mercy. God never stops whispering. Even in your slumber, even in the pew, He still waits for you to wake. He still believes in your flame. Pope Leo said it with fierce love. God is not content with your presence. He desires your participation. Do not let your soul grow cold next to the fire. Step into it. Let the homily be a sword. Let the Eucharist be your earthquake. Let the Mass break the stone of routine. And if you feel numb, do not fear. Holiness does not begin in feeling. It begins in choice. Whisper it, trembling though you may be. Wake me, Lord. He will. And your pew will become a throne. Your amen will become a battle cry. Your faith alive again. A home without prayer is not just quiet. It's vulnerable. Once, the Catholic family was a fortress, not perfect but protected. Parents led the rosary. Children saw holiness not in books, but in the hallway. There were blessings before meals, crosses on walls, and a shared sense that this house belongs to heaven. But now the living room glows with screens, not saints. The family prays when there's time. God is discussed when it's convenient. And slowly, the sacred becomes sentimental. The church teaches that the family is the domestic church. That means your home is meant to be a sanctuary, a small tabernacle where love, sacrifice, and grace dwell. But when God becomes a guest and not the head, things shift. Peace fades. Unity strains. The enemy creeps in, not loudly, but through absence. Pope Leo XIV has lamented this drift with deep concern. The enemy does not need to tear down your walls, he said. He only needs you to stop guarding them. It begins when prayer becomes optional, when the Sunday Mass is negotiable, when faith is whispered in shame, not declared in joy. The rosary, once the family chain to heaven, lies untouched. But the Holy Father also gave a remedy. Reclaim your house, not with loud rules but gentle rituals. Begin again. One Our Father said together at night. One Hail Mary as the meal begins. A crucifix placed not in decoration, but in reverence. He tells us, even the smallest home can become a cathedral when grace returns. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be willing. Children do not need parents who explain theology. They need parents who kneel. Spouses do not need more agreement. They need shared surrender. If your home has drifted, it is not lost. The anchor is still within reach. God longs to walk your hallway again. Make space. Make time. Make Him the center. Even now, even tonight. Where is your rosary? Not the one you display, the one you used to carry. The one that once felt warm from your touch. The one that heard your voice in the dark. Is it still near your bed? In your bag? Beneath your pillow? Or has it become like many things sacred in your life? Present, but unused? The Church teaches that the rosary is a school of prayer, a weapon of peace, and a ladder of grace. Yet so many souls today no longer climb it. They know its power in theory, but not in habit. Some saints say the rosary is like breathing for the soul. Not loud, not always emotional, but vital. So why do we stop? Because the enemy whispers, you're too tired, too distracted, It won't work this time. And we believe him. We forget that Mary gave us this prayer not as poetry, but as protection. Each bead a step, each mystery a doorway, each Hail Mary a drop of light in the dark. Pope Leo XIV has preached this truth with clarity. The rosary is not a magic formula. It is a gesture of trust, a holding of hands with heaven. He once told a group of young people, "If you can hold your phone for hours, you can hold the rosary for 10 minutes, and one of them will change your soul." Soft shock perhaps, but a holy one. The rosary is not for the pious elite. It is for the broken father, the anxious mother, the lost teenager. It is for you, but it must be prayed, and not just when you feel like it, especially when you don't, because that's when grace flows deepest. Tonight, find it, hold it again. Begin with just one decade. Let the words stumble if they must. Mary doesn't need perfection. She needs your voice. She is not a memory. She is a mother, and she listens. She waits. Even now, you've heard the call. You've seen your comfort exposed. You've remembered what was once alive in you. Now comes the moment of courage, the sacred restart. Pope Leo XIV once described this moment as the trembling yes. The moment when a soul, broken or bored, whispers, "Begin again, Lord," and heaven moves. This is not a return to guilt. It's a return to grace. The Catechism teaches that the journey of faith is ongoing, that conversion is not a moment, but a movement. And even if you've drifted for years, even if you've built a life of beautiful surface with a hollow center, Christ is still waiting, not with scorn, but with supper. He stands at the door not to demand, but to dine. So open it. Do not wait for a feeling. Begin with a habit. Set one candle on your table. Place the rosary under your pillow. Choose one prayer, even one sentence, and say it with all the honesty you have left. "Jesus, I miss you." That may be enough. You are not too far. You are not too late. The enemy wants you to believe your drift is final. But the saints shout otherwise. They once drifted too. Now they burn. And so can you. Let this be the night you remember who you are. A child of light. A soul created for fire. A Catholic not of name only, but of flame. Christ is not asking you to leap, only to lift your eyes, only to begin again. So rise, speak his name, dust off the rosary. Let your home become a chapel. Let your life become a witness. And let your heart burn once more. Because even the fallen can rise. Even the cold can ignite. Even the lukewarm can become saints. If they say yes, say it now.